Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Adele Rouleau, and I will be moderating today's panel, From Waste to Resources, Circular Solutions for People and Planet. As waste and pollution threaten people and ecosystems, innovative circular solutions are turning challenges into opportunities. This session will showcase pioneering initiatives that demonstrate how circular solutions can address environmental challenges while creating social and economic opportunities. Drawing on pioneering initiatives from Benin, Nepal, and Ukraine, communities and organizations are finding innovative ways to transform waste and turn environmental challenges into resources. Across these regions, invasive plants, discarded materials, and industrial byproducts are repurposed or mitigated through solutions that generate green jobs, empower local communities, and restore ecosystems. From converting plants into compost and artisanal goods to upcycling materials into safe and engaging playgrounds, or deploying technologies that reduce industrial emissions and dust while enhancing safety. These efforts show how circular approaches can revitalize wetlands, create safe spaces for children, and improve environmental quality. Together, they illustrate how turning environmental challenges into resources can simultaneously support livelihoods, foster resilience, and protect ecosystems, offering scalable models for a more sustainable future. I'm looking forward to this panel, for sure. I will now start by introducing our incredible group of panels today who've come from all over the world to share some of the strategies, highly innovative and pioneering strategies that are implementing. I would like to start with Grâce Sandrine Zancran, Head and Coordinator of Youth and Green Jobs for a Green Economy. Grace is a Beninese agro-socio-economist committed to sustainability, peace, and social inclusion. With a master's degree in rural economics and sociology, she coordinates the Route de la Jacinthe d'eau project within the NGO Geosyntec, an innovative initiative that promotes an invasive plant to create green jobs, strengthen social cohesion, and stimulate ecotourism. A 2025 laureate of award of the AAWLCA program on African women's leadership for climate action. She has also participated in the Rencontre francophone de l'innovation sociale in France and the L'École d'automne sur la sécurité alimentaire in Morocco. She has over 4 years of experience in development project management and works to build new coalitions in the service of peace, people, and the planet. Welcome, Grâce. Next on our panel, we have Sourav Rimal, President of the KarmaYog Foundation. Sourav is a climate-conscious social innovator and development leader committed to building resilient communities in Nepal. As president of KarmaYog Foundation and country director for Strong Foundation USA, he has implemented over 100 cross-sector projects addressing education, maternal support, health equity, and disaster response. He champions environmental sustainability through initiatives like upcycling waste into safe, inclusive playgrounds, bridging child development and climate action. A TED speaker and US State Department of Professional Fellow, he is recognized with the National Youth Talent Award, Impact Award of the US Department of State, and the Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Sawashri Award. He was also nominated by the President of Nepal for the Samaj Sevaratna Medal, honoring his national contributions to social progress and environmental advocacy. Next, we have Bruno Obel, the President of the World Resources Forum. Bruno Obel is the President of the World Resources Forum and the formal Director General of the International Union for the Conservation of Nature. Between 2005 and 2015, he was State Secretary for the Environment and Director of the Federal Office for the Environment for Switzerland. Dr. Abel is a leading expert in the fields of sustainable resource management and green economy, and has explored and shaped the interface between environmental policy, economic development, and social equity from the perspective of state regulator, entrepreneur, and scientist. Next, we have Dr. Vadim Shurkin, Professor, Doctor of Science, Laureate of Ukrainian President Award for Young Scientists, Director Research Mining Institute of the Ukraine National University. Vadim Shurkin received a PhD from the Ukraine National University in 2000 and a Doctor of Technical Sciences degree in 2012. After defending his dissertation for the degree of Doctor of Technical Sciences in the field of automation of control processes in 2013, he was awarded the academic title of Professor at the Department of Power Supply and Energy Management. His research interests cover intelligent process control systems, fuzzy logic, neural networks, industrial ecology. He is the author of more than 120 scientific papers, including monographs and patents. He has been awarded several government grants on the development of software on the planning of energy-intensive facilities. So I would like to welcome our panel. As you can see, exceptionally stellar experts in their field, and I'm sure we'll have plenty to learn from all of them. I would like to start with a very general question, and I'm going to give each of the panelists the opportunity to go into further depth into what their organization does and what their mission is. Grâce, would you like to start?
Okay. Rebonsoir à tous.
Good evening, everyone. I am an agro-socioeconomist, and I coordinate the project Jacinthe. I work in Benin. The project I work on was born out of several observations. The fact that a lake in Benin was suffering and that there's precarity among women and children who live, whose livelihoods depend on fishing. We seek to fight the proliferation of the water hyacinth, which is a natural resource and appears when there is heavy rainfall and when water levels rise. And we also worked on creating jobs for youth and women and to develop tourism in Benin. I would like to remind you that the area we work in Benin is a tourist area, and so we wanted to give tourism a boost surrounding the water hyacinth road. Our targets are women and youth. And through our work, we were able to come up with a circular, inclusive approach which links restoration of the environment and revenue creation for women and youth of this particular community. So we work on training so that they can gather this water hyacinth and also transform this flower so that it can become a useful product that can be sold through organic composting. And we also work on developing eco-products from an artisanal perspective. We have also been able to develop tourist activities around these innovations which value our work. And this work has allowed us to carry the community's pride. Through this work, women and young people in our country have been able to make revenue. And our main challenges have been integrating the community in a sustainable manner and to change perceptions when it comes to economic and environmental resources, as well as the commitment of stakeholders. We work with several actors, such as community leaders, and thanks to our training, continuous training, and the creation of cooperatives, we have been able to carry our work forward. We work with women and young people, but we have also been able to train 1,500 people, and we have implemented cooperatives focused on community activities, and we carry out training to ensure that this initiative can become a sustainable activity within the community. So that is what I wanted to say about our project. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Adele, for let me just take this. Thank you, Adele, for a warm introduction. And so I represent KarmaYog Foundation, which is a grassroots organization in Nepal. So basically what we are doing in Nepal is we are making a playground using upcycled materials. So by upcycling tire, plastic waste, metals, we treat it and we build a playground for the community schools. And so far we have done it in more than 50 plus schools, where we have been able to upcycle more than 6,500 tons of waste. So this is what we do. And if you look at the overall picture of Nepal, Nepal is in between India and China, and our economy was more rely on the agriculture, if you look at the broader picture from 15 years back. But right now, due to the uncertainty of the political situation and due to the worst governance, a lot of people are forcibly leaving the country. So that is creating a huge problem because of lack of jobs. So we came up with a concept where we wanted to also at the same time create jobs, because people have been going to Middle East countries for labor work, to work in a very high temperature. So we wanted to make sure to keep them with their family, and why don't we give them a job? So right now with our projects, we've been able to create more than 500 green jobs, though it's a small project. But the impact that we have done in terms of, if you look at the economy and in terms of the people living now in Nepal, in the rural communities, has a rise. And so right now, the economy of Nepal rely on the remittance. So we want to make sure that they earn and they be with the family. So this is one of the small project that we are doing at the moment, and we want to develop an ecosystem where we can also support children, at the same time also focus on the climate, where we can be and also create the green jobs.
Thank you. I'm going to ask that question as well to Bruno. If you could go into further depth in terms of the work of the World Resources Forum.
I was instructed to make more general comments on circular economy and the condition under which circular economy can have an important contribution to both environmental damage reduction and, on the other side, social and economic development, right? I will come at the end with some example of the organization that I am leading currently. We have to keep in mind what it means, circular economy. Circular economy, you take at the end of the use material and you bring it back in the production cycle. So a first condition to have an important contribution to economy, social, and environment is that you have an anthropic stock of natural resources. It seems very banal, but these are big differences between Europe, US, Africa, and South Asia, for example. The amount of natural resources in the anthropic stock, what it means, buildings, engines, cars, whatever we use, is completely different. In that sense, in those, let's say, more mature economies, recycled material can deliver a reasonable amount of the natural resources we need in the next generation of products. Let's say 20 to 30%, because we still have a lot of accumulation going on, even in those countries. In countries where the anthropic stock is very small, circular economy in that sense doesn't exist. Unless you look at a very specific element, and this is what the first example was, organic material. So managing organic material in a circular way, it's a normal way we always did also in Europe, transforming in the cycle of food and feed products into production means. This is what, if I don't look at this, at the organic part of the equation, this is it's very simple. In the global north, recycling should be a central pillar of every strategy to reduce environmental impact through natural resources. In the global south, it is not so important. This is the first thing to keep in mind, but, and this is a second element, circular economy is not simply taking waste and using for production. It is also reshaping and rethinking the value chains that at the end lead to the waste. So starting with the question, what type of product do we need? Should we produce for producing products or to, let's say, to respond to needs? Also, do we need light bulbs or simply light? Do we need shelter or do we need big buildings? So this question. Huh? So what is the type of products that we need? The second question is, can we change the way in which these products are produced and used? One simple example, we could share some type of products among several types. Car sharing systems, for example. I don't buy a car anymore. I am part of a system where I can use cars if I need it. So these changes, and this is, again, a difference between the global north and the global south, are pretty hard to introduce in the global north, because we have, let's say, the gravity of what already exists. We have to reshape, to change, to force our behavior to change. While in the Global South, where these systems are not yet completely installed, we have the opportunity from the beginning to work in a different way. And this is where I would say the second element, the second condition. The first one, it is, okay, you should have a reasonable amount of anthropic resources. Second, you should have the intelligence and the knowledge to shape a different way to produce, a different structure of the value chain. And here is probably knowledge, the resource that is the most important, and social flexibility, and here probably the Global South is a more easy situation to do this. I stop here. Of course, it would be very, very long. This is industrial ecology. At one moment, Professor will be in charge to explain all of this. In concrete, I am leading an organization called World Resources Forum. We are, in particular, a platform for political debates between science, business, and policy. But we have also a number of projects in several countries in Africa and in Asia. One, let's say, series of projects is implementing circular economies in the sector of electric and electronic waste. What is easier in a way because of the high value of the waste. The scrap is pretty valuable in economic term too. So you have an easier way to start discussion with business and with regulators. And we have supported in Egypt, in Ghana, in South Africa, in India, in Colombia, in Peru, and a number of other countries. First, the legislation to push towards in that direction. Secondly, standard of quality of the products. So recycled products have to have a sufficient quality standards. If not, they are not usable. So this is an important element. Third, knowledge, capacity building at all levels in the industry, in the administration, in the specialized scrap manager. So this is a type of activity that we are now working on since 15 years with pretty good results. We are now happy to be in contact in many of those states with established metal scrap association that continue the work that we have started together with the local authority. I will stop here.
Thank you, Robert. Professor, I'd like to go to you. If you could provide further depth and further description of the nature of your research and your work currently, please.
Thank you very much. Шановні учасники форуму, по-перше, я хотів би подякувати організаційному комітету.
Dear participants, I would like to thank the organizing committee for their invitation to be able to be here. We are 2 participants and we have come from Ukraine. And I wanted to take this opportunity to thank France, the French people, and President Macron in particular for the support that we have received in Ukraine in this difficult situation that we find ourselves in. I represent a university which is 55 kilometers from the front line. Despite the complicated context in Ukraine, I can assure you that we are functioning normally in terms of research and teaching. I prepared this presentation with Ludmila, my colleague, and I wanted to show through our presentation that the explosions that we are studying can actually be useful for peace-building processes and for global peace. This is a general comment, but if you look at industrial explosions, when there are catastrophes, in the mining production cycle, there are explosions, and this is a natural thing that happens underground. And so there is a cloud of dust that comes above ground. This is an issue in Ukraine and all around the world. Since 2019, our Institute has been leading a research project to reduce the quantity of dust that comes out of these industrial explosions. And today, we have come up with a unique technology to reduce gas in the context of these explosions, to reduce the amount of dust. There are European technologies which allow us to reduce dust by 45%, and there's another technology which reduce it by 50 or 60%. This project has a specific status, but we are moving to the next phase, TL9, phase TL9, which will be more ambitious still in terms of reduction of dust. This is an innovative technology, and this is extremely interesting research.
There's quite a few key words that have really come out for me, and that was ecosystems. You know, the understanding what creates an environment that we can encourage greater behavior. How do we change human behavior? How do we influence behavior to take on more recycling, to be more responsible in terms of how we manage our resources? And also the importance of education. How do you share this knowledge across boundaries? How can we change that? Because mining, for example, is a universal sector. What lessons can we apply across the world? Even the recycling of invasive species, how can we apply that to other sectors or other jurisdictions? So this is really quite powerful in terms of knowledge sharing. I would also love to discuss a bit more in terms of the challenges that you are encountering in your projects today. Grace, would you like to start? In terms of community engagement or education, have you encountered certain setbacks or challenges in terms of promoting what you're doing?
Thank you very much. Thank you for your question. So I'm going to circle back to what Bruno said and like to talk about circular economy. If you want to have positive circular economy, you need to have knowledge, you need to have know-how, you need to have resources. And our project has been rolled out in a rural community, in a wetland. Now, about our challenges, well, we have some of the people there who do not want to work hand in hand with us, and some of the communities are not really active. And we try to raise awareness ahead of our projects. We organize events. I can say there is mass awareness campaigns. We want to make sure that they understand that, yes, they have natural resources, they can use it, valorize it. This will be able to create jobs. Water hyacinth appears when we have heavy rainfalls, and this is when there are displacement, when the population moves to the city areas. But you should know, in the Gavier community, basically this is a lake town, and we were able to reduce the movements of the population. And we also organize long-term training sessions, and we have community-level relays. They act in favor of changes, they act in favor of local circular economy, and of course we strive for a resilient community. So now about our challenges, I mean, we wanted to make sure that the community was 100% committed. We wanted to make sure that they understood that this plant was no longer a burden, but it was actually an economic opportunity, and they could actually become agents of change and real players. Okay, thank you very much.
So since we don't have that huge project and there's not much challenges, but still the mindset of the people is challenged today, because when the term comes like waste or upcycling, people actually have a problem. And when we actually take all the playing component to the schools, first they get excited regarding our project, then we say it's upcycling, then they were like, we can't do that, it's not good to do it in our schools. So It's because I think there has not been a proper advocacy from our government. So Nepal is a land of Mount Everest. And if you look at the global context, Nepal is also one of the most key area in terms of climate change. Our glaciers has been melting, and there has been a lot of kids dying from waterborne diseases. So right now, you know, if you look at the overall picture, the support from the government is lacking. And right now, we are also trying to reach out to the local government bodies and work with the municipality level so that we can educate them about the importance of this. Because with our small project, we've been able to do the thousands of tons of waste and give them a new life. Then if government can really initiate this, they can even do better. So for us, to be honest, we don't have that much challenge, but still it's all about mindset, how we think. That is what has been a problem in today.
Thank you. Bruno, I've got more of a specific question for yourself. I was going to follow up on the theme you said of ecosystems, the ecosystem recycling, because I've got background in obviously the recycling of metals, and how do you promote the recycling of metals and circular economy in the metallic sector? Do you have any comments in that in terms of what are appropriate policy responses to encourage more of this?
Recycling is at the mature level is industry. It's a heavy industry. And as such, it's a dirty, heavy industry. It needs investments, it needs knowledge, and it needs workers. A central macroeconomic signal would be what is the price of virgin material. So if we want recycled material to be good in competition on the market for materials, we have to make sure that virgin material are more expensive than recycled material. And this is a matter of tax policy, subsidies policy, so core activity of the state. A second one is the type of jobs that the recycling industry offers are not particularly attractive. In Europe, in the developed country, this is like construction, like heavy, dirty industry. So to make this type of activity accessible and interesting for people, you need to basically to pay them well. This is the second element. The third one, it is the acceptability of these plans. It is big industry, dirty, big industry, so the reaction will be not in my backyard. It's a bit similar, like the two colleagues that have already spoken. And so it is not surprising that the majority of the big recycling plants in the world are in China. The scrap or the whatever used material is transported to China. They, back to back with their industrial activities, recycle the material, and we buy it back in terms of final product. So if we want to establish also in our country a local industrial network, we have to find a way in our land planning and in the planning of our industrial zone to make space for this type of pretty not attractive activities. So these are the, I mean, circular economy as a concept is very romantic, is very good, but in the reality, it's heavy, dirty industry that pays bad salaries to the workers. And we have to transform the image and the content of this industry to make it more attractive.
So we're battling a perception problem then?
Among others.
Among others, yes. Professor, I've got a question for you as well. What I'd like to understand is, how do you balance industrial productivity with environmental safety in implementing your solutions?
Дякую за запитання. Воно складне. Складне, оскільки
Thank you for your question.
знайти компроміс.
This is a tricky question because we need to find compromises between profits and
Є гарні приклади
and needs and desires from those who live next to those plants. But there are also many examples of industrial responsibility. Let's talk about the biggest industrial actor.
інформацію щодо виробництва і
I mean, they provide knowledge, they provide information, and also at our own university level, we provide information and knowledge. But it comes down to having a sort of a frame. The issue, though, is that industrial manufacturers aim for profits. And on top of that, we also have regulation-related issues. I love the EU program for green technologies, and in the future, Ukraine will pay taxes on decarbonization, and these taxes will push industries to move to green technologies and green energy sources. But it comes down to the mindsets of business owners. It will come down to their own commitment towards protecting the planet and the environment.
Thank you. So once again, the concept of education and understanding what the industry is really doing. I've got just under 10 minutes if anyone in the audience has any questions. It's a fascinating topic. We've covered very huge wealth of information. No? Yes?
I'd like to come back to the point Bruno Berlet made about the image problem. Could you expand on image in whose eyes? Because nobody knows that the circular economy is lying over a very dirty industry. I wasn't aware of it. I don't work specifically on circularity, but I've worked with a lot of people working on it. And so if I'm not aware of it, I'm pretty sure 80% of the population doesn't know that. And so this image problem, where? Whose eyes and brains are we talking about?
I mean, again, there are the part of the circular economy that works on shaping new type of products, new type of ownership, new type of distribution. This is, let's say, less problematic. It is engineering and marketing people, lawyers, and so this is so all the funny things that 80% of people living in Paris do. So, and this is, it will be done by the same firms that are doing marketing today, that are doing engineering today. I'm pretty sure they are the same firms. They will, as soon as recycled product will become viable and economic, sustainable, or even better sustainable. The other one, the sector will shift, like we have seen in the decarbonization debates. 30 years ago, it was some crazy people, and suddenly you see finance guys that are emitting bonds on the emission cards and so on. So the system will embrace these new social objectives if the signal are put rightly. Price, maybe even sharper than the price, percentage of recycled material into the products, compulsory. If you say, okay, every car have to demonstrate before it can go to market that it has at least 10, 20, 30, 40% of recycled material inside, and so on. So fashion, and so as soon as these will be acquired, then the whole system will switch and will propose itself in for the new objectives. This is normal industrial policy. No? The part where I was highlighting that it is pretty dirty is the final, when you actually take the material and you transform it back into resources. And this is, if you smelt virgin iron rock, or if you smelt scrap, at the end of the day, it's very similar. You need maybe a bit less energy if you smelt scrap, because the first step of refining from the rock 50% iron content into more or less pure iron, it's not there. But you spend energy because you have to fight against the entropy. Also, you have to collect all this scrap everywhere. So this is, it will become industry, heavy industry, because you can't make, like in China, producing iron in every back house. There was one idea of Mao Zedong at one moment, failed, simply because the scale and the knowledge is not there. To be effective, you need big plants. You need a lot of energy, and and this is heavy industry. It's how the image can become better. I don't think that it needs to become better. I mean, we find people that want those jobs today, and we will find it tomorrow. If we don't find it, we will pay them better.
I'm going to ask you to wrap up, Bruno, so Professor can make a comment. Thank you.
Ви знаєте, є гарний приклад реалізації циркулярної економіки. Існує фірма, називається вона Neo Eco France, яка займається переробкою вторинної сировини з ArcelorMittal Кривий Ріг. І ми відчуваємо, що ця тенденція циркулярної економіки є дуже гарною. Як
What we see is that, yes, there are real trends when it comes to circular economy, and this is good for scientists, but also for employees. At our university in Krivy, we have a dedicated class on circular economy, and we have information on the profits that it generates for both employees and inhabitants.
So once again, I'm hearing this tension between saving the environment and economics, a tension and a debate which resurfaces over and over again. So we're wrapping up soon. We've got a few minutes left. I'm going to allow the panelists to make just one very, very brief conclusion. Why is the circular economy important from your perspective, Grace? One or two words, please.
L'économie circulaire est importante.
Well, it is important because we need to use natural resources that were not valued and used in the past, because these resources are located in rural areas, and basically communities don't know how valuable those resources are. So research helps to find new solutions to valorize those issues, and what we want to make sure is that communities have the resources, the knowledge, the know-how to make sure that they can process and transform these natural resources. So with our plant, here we're talking about a natural resource. We have women, they go far away to go and look for whatever they need to cook, for instance, and using those plants, those natural resources, help them find new solutions. They reuse things that we might not have think about. On top of plants, we have fish-related resources. Again, it's important to fight against food waste. So we have partnerships, we have technical and financial partnerships to ensure that we improve the use of water, hyacinth, but also the use of byproducts. But we can also talk about biogas that could help these populations to reach autonomy. And this is something that we could reuse somewhere else, duplicate in Benin, but also in Western Africa. I mean, the thing is, not many people actually know what this plant is, and it's a great opportunity for everyone to understand what it can bring.
Why is the circular economy important?
Circular economy is really important because we are the one who are advocating, creating something, and I think what we do today matters tomorrow. So if we are working and creating green jobs today, it's going to reflect tomorrow. So exactly, we're not. It's really important for job creations and also for our ecosystem. And with the expertise that we have, it's good to share the knowledge and also run the same ecosystem.
Thank you. And Bruno, in a few words, why is the circular economy important?
A few words.
A few words. Sorry. running on the wire.
Because to dig holes and take out the materials and then dig other holes to put the waste in, it's simply stupid. And at one moment, we will run out of material. So the sooner we learn to reuse, the better it is.
Finally, Professor, why is the circular economy important? In a few words, or under 3 seconds.
Donc, pour parler de notre université et de notre institut de recherche, encore une fois, ici, on a parlé beaucoup des déchets générés par les industries. It's important to focus on waste. It's important to reuse the waste that we have to create new roads, for instance, and it's a real advantage and benefit for us.